Welcome once again to the Ringside Chat, the only show on cable channel 4 that devoted to our love for wrestling. And this week we have a special guest, but first things first. I don't know how to say this, folks, but last Friday we, in the wrestling community, lost a special wrestler. It's real sad. We have lost Scott Charles Bigelow, as you people may know him as Bam Bam Bigelow from the WWF, WCW, and ECW. Bam Bam Bigelow is one of the, I'll say this, most recognizable wrestlers ever. The only wrestler has a shaved head and tattoos on it. You know. Quick background for Bam Bam Bigelow. Wrestled in Japan with Vader, won the New Japan Tag Team titles. Wrestled in WCW with the New Jersey Triad, Chris Kanyon, DDP, and also wrestled in the WWF in the mid-90s. Of course, if you football fans may remember, he had that match at WrestleMania 11 with Lawrence Taylor. Of course, in '97, moved on to ECW with the Triple Threat, Shane Douglas, Chris Candido, and all that. And of course, one of his most favorite memories I have is that him pressing Spike Dudley into the crowd, and ECW became arena became a giant mosh pit. Bam Bam Bigelow will be missed by not only the wrestling community but the wrestling fans. I believe I will say best that Bam Bam Bigelow from Asbury Park, New Jersey, the Beast from the East, will be missed. Bam Bam, the show's for you. Now, turning to our introduced panel for this week, we have a special guest this week. He's used to manage a former Central Illinois champion here in Springfield. It's, ladies and gentlemen, please have a warm welcome, of course, clap for him at home, for PM Sanders.
Otherwise known as Donovan Taylor, currently with 3CW, and I guess you're much ashamed of didn't really practice birth control. This is what happens when you have kids, okay? It's sometimes they grow up not quite right, and sometimes they throw up on their shirt like they have right here, but yes, you are honored to have me, I agree, so.
Of course, you know, my brother in arms, my tag team partner, my Ric Flair to my Arn Anderson, Stonewall, Big Daddy Cool, Stonewall.
Big Daddy Cool?
Yeah.
Your brother?
That's right.
How many generations of inbreeding do they have to do to come up with him?
The one and only.
Oh, no.
I don't know, ask people.
This is going to be either the best show on TV, folks, or the worst half hour you've ever spent in your life. We'll see how it goes.
Okay. Let's roll with the question.
Yes.
Of course, that's why you're here.
Yes, I'm here. I'm joking around. These are actually pretty nice guys, and as long as they pay me what they owe me, I'll continue to say that.
Of course, you got my bookie's number.
British Bulldog. You know, I did hear that, before you get the questions, that his wife actually compares him to the British Bulldog. He says his love life with him is like the British Bulldog.
How's that?
That dead.
Oh, really?
Ooh.
Yes, that's what she says. Like, he just says, like...
Well, we're getting a little bit stiff this week.
You're just full of it.
Yeah.
Plain and simple, ladies and gentlemen. He's just full of it.
And
Hey,
Very comical.
Also, for you guys, we do have security in the studios this
thank
week.
Goodness.
Okay.
Thank goodness. But anyway.
Okay. Let's roll with the questions, okay?
Yes, definitely.
Okay. Any more jokes you want?
No, nothing to say. I'll behave.
Okay, first question out. What made you become a manager in pro wrestling?
Well, because being a manager is a lot of fun. You get to annoy the audience, and you don't get beat up as much as you were inside the ring. So, like if you can be a referee, they always get beaten up all the time. Wrestlers get beaten up all the time. Managers, occasionally, if they get your hands on you, will you get beaten up pretty bad. So I've only been beaten up maybe a couple times. But other than that, I've kind of avoided getting beaten up, though it gets hairy sometimes. But I just like the entertaining aspect to the audience.
I can see that from a couple minutes already in the
Yes.
show. Okay, what does wrestling manager really does?
Well, you know, there's some place like you get a Paul Ellering who actually was a genuine wrestling manager, where he booked their matches, he helped set up the matches, he booked the hotel rooms, gave them financial advice, to anything just being out there as part of a storyline and doing what you need to do to get your wrestlers over or get the crowd into the match. So basically, they play a very important part of the storylines in wrestling.
Yeah, okay. Of course, Paul Ellering, former manager of the Road Warriors.
Road Warriors.
Yeah, one of the greatest of all time. Have you ever? Okay, this is the question we usually ask because of what happened to me a couple weeks ago. Have you ever got jumped by a fan at a wrestling show?
Yes, I have. 2 occasions. What I used to do in 3CW was really wild was they go outside to smoke. It was a cold day. Someone out there, and they were all giving me grief when I stepped outside, so I locked the door on them. I walked in, they're all locked outside this cold, freezing air going, hey, let us in. Well, actually, one of the faces would let them in the building, you know, and this one lady got so upset during the match. I love security when they're not there. It's like I'm going this one guy doing my move. Next thing you know, I can't move at all. This biker mama has me in a headbat, had me up in the air, holding on to me, not letting me go for anything. So yeah, I've been grabbed and I've been swung at. It's not a pleasant feeling, and security's never around to see it. But luckily, I've never been hurt bad. But the scariest thing we've ever had in wrestling was we had a match come up where my guy was wrestling Raven. Raven beat him for his title.
This is not the Raven we see on TV, isn't it?
No, this is Raven from 3CW.
Okay, just want to make that clear.
Yes, real talented guy. Well, the referee didn't see that Raven really scumballed his way to the title. So I talked to the referee, told me with the camera you need to reverse the decision. I didn't just not tell him to reverse the decision. I browbeat the referee so bad that the fans were mad at the referee for reversing the decision. And after the match, we had like 6 people, almost a near riot, break out. We got inside the ring, had all these fans outside the ring. We could not get out of the ring without getting beaten up. It was a pretty bad situation. We had 6 main leaders. We had like probably another 50 audience members lingering around, wanting our hides. Tony and Adam came inside the ring, pushed themselves inside the ring, realized why they had to push themselves into the ring is because we had a mob wanting to kill us. I look up, security comes up the aisle, goes down the other aisle. Oh, we're in trouble now. We cannot get out of this ring. I'm looking, trying to get signals, get these people out of there so we can get out. One of the faces, Dickie, who really didn't like us anyway, said, I know, I'll go to the ring. I will cause all the faces to run the ring, cause a distraction. These guys can leave safely. That didn't happen. He jumps inside the ring. We start stomping him. And the fans are going, oh, beat up a cripple. That's what you guys are all about, isn't it? Well, what happened was faces didn't come. People were that much more PO'd at us. And all of a sudden, it's like the fans finally come to the ring at the nick of time. We tear off over the chairs to get toward the back. One of the faces tried to grab me back inside the ring, and I almost had to fight with him at the spot. But yeah, it's kind of fun, but when you get a real reaction from fans, it can be kind of dangerous. There's been more than once after a show where we come out for meet and greets, both companies, that I could not come out for fear that I would get beaten up, literally, because of the emotions that were going on in that arena with some of those fans.
Of course, you kind of, I actually saw you before you left New Midwest
Right.
Wrestling. You actually one story, it was this January, I believe. You were walking into the building at the old bingo hall in the north side town.
Right.
And you, a couple minutes later, go, oh, it's warm in here,
Yeah, they didn't like me for that either. It's kind of like, but I think the key is in wrestling, and that's why I think it's so important why fans get into wrestling, is that you have to have an emotional interest in it. The last main event I saw at New Midwest, and I'm talking about them because that's the last card I saw, was you had 3 teams in the main event. The fans really got into who these people were and what they were doing.
True.
And a lot of times, I've heard this complaint with guys I manage. It's like they're reacting to who I am, not what I'm doing. But if they don't care for you as a person and you don't make it believable to them, they're not going to be interested in your match or what you do. When you go out there and make them believe in what they're seeing, and they're emotionally invested in what happens to you, whether you get cheered or booed, you got them. That's what wrestling's about.
Okay.
It's like a good movie. You see a piece of crap movie, it's like people pretending. There's a difference between pretending and actually being. Like you can pretend to be a bank robber, but actually being one is two different things.
Wannabe.
Right. And for wrestling, to get that reaction from the fans, and I'm honored that I've gotten a good reaction, that I had good people around me is what made the difference, is that you've got to get the fans caring about you, the character, and the people you're with, and everyone getting everyone over, so you actually have a very good product and a very good show.
Okay.
That
That's
might
real.
be too lengthy, I hope, but
Well, I don't believe so.
all right.
That's real informal for people who watch wrestling and
Right.
don't know that real psychology of it.
Well, it's the psychology. It's like anything else. Like you watch WWE, and sometimes you get bored because the bookers are booking more for what they think it's funny than what the people actually listen to. People have made this complaint before about wrestling. I'll get on a little side rabbit trail of my opinion is, I've heard a lot of people say, even local people, it's all about high spots, it's all about this and that, but they don't really listen to what the fans say. They'll criticize like Crime Fighter. He's this guy that critiques all the wrestling matches, and we all get on Crime Fighter.
Oh, yeah.
But people say, he's not a wrestler. How dare he say what we're doing is bad in the ring? Unless you wrestle just for wrestlers, you can say that, but it's the fans. We can be wrestlers and have the greatest wrestling match in the world. Or we can own a restaurant and say, this is the greatest food in the world, a chef's delicacy. But if Joe Public thinks it's a piece of crap, it don't mean crap. When he's paying to pay the bills. So in wrestling, it's really what the fans think and how they feel that's important. I think with the WWA or anyone else that doesn't use that, working toward the fans and caring about the fans and getting the fans involved in their matches, they really are missing out on what they could be doing, because fans just look at it and they just don't really care anymore. That's why wrestling's kind of in a slump. Because in the old days, the fans used to have to go out wrestlers and work their way up the ladder. They had to learn to work the audience, work the crowd, and those that could work it became superstars. Today they get together, do all these moves, and thinking that they're the greatest thing when they haven't learned the basics of working the audience.
Kind of like maybe Randy Orton, because his father's Bob Orton Jr. You know, he wrestled Hulk Hogan in the Saturday Night Main Event and whatnot, because you know that's his father is in the main event all the time. That's my opinion on that.
Well, Orton's got a lot of ability, a lot of talent. He's got a lot of personal demons, but I think he got him a lot, because I know he got suspended for some of his attitudes, but it's kind of like, it's a lot of fun, you know. It's not rocket scientists. They just go out and just have fun. The hardest thing about being in wrestling is looking at guys like him out of the ringside area. That's the part I really hate about wrestling.
Of course,
I mean, they all can't be beautiful women, because I don't know where they're at, because all I see is some pretty nasty. The women he looks better than half the women I've seen at ringside, so.
Of course, Steve Stonewall had a couple of chants while Sanders was managing him.
No, let's not go there.
Oh, yeah.
By the way, we do have security.
I had quite a few chats that I had quite a few people go along with me whenever he was with New Midwest, but after the show, you know, it's just part of the show. You know, that's mainly what the wrestlers are wanting, is for the fans to get more involved in the matches and etc. Just like at the previous New Midwest Wrestling show, if it wasn't for my so-called good friend over here, Mr. Sanders, and a few of the security guards, because me and one of the wrestlers got into it pretty bad, but there wasn't nothing really personal or physical about it.
And that's the one thing, like, wrestlers have got to realize, and I'll be honest, as a manager, there's times you want the fans to jeer you. There's times they will say things that make you want to cry on the spot. They're vicious out there. I mean, and that's anything. If you cannot take it, you shouldn't be in the wrestling business, because even from behind the scenes, in front of the scenes, let's face it, I mean, we all are just, we get it from both ends. Pretty hard to be in wrestling. You kind of have a masochistic beat yourself kind of streak to be in wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
And believe me, this guy here, he's mean.
This guy?
Yeah, but I would say
Me?
Yeah, actually, yeah.
If I forget another question, I got a cool story to tell about his son, though.
Yeah, we can.
I was at, we were at
Which son?
we were
I
at
got
some kind
3
of battle
sons.
royal at ringside. Your little son was there, and I had dropped a quarter, and I picked up the quarter, and your son took it out of my hand. Well, I took the quarter back out of his son's hand and put it back in my pocket. Lady behind him started cussing me out. Felt so bad. Gave his son like almost $2 in change.
Yes.
And I was telling him, no, we got to do this every city. We can make some money off of this one.
What's your role as women as female managers or valets? in the
Well, I
sport?
think there's a difference. I think that women, the best wrestling card I ever saw was a bunch of female wrestlers.
Mm-hmm.
They really can work good. I think if it was out there just for TNA, I think that's kind of degrading. A lot of today's women, the best documentary was Lipsticks and Dynamite, talking about the female wrestling history. Now, there's difference. Like some of these women, like a Cherry Malone, a Stephanie King, I consider more like managers.
Mm-hmm.
There's more to them than just TNA. They're very smart. They can get the crowd into the match. They work hard. A valet just comes out, and she's TNA, she waves, and after a while, that just gets old. It's like,
With the sexy clothes on.
you know, but sometimes it's like, what are they doing wrestling? It's like they, you know, I think that's what killed the women's division. It's more TNA and WWE, except for Mickie James and the couple. But when they lost Molly Holly and Trish Stratus and Lita, they lost the female wrestling division. But as far as females being managers, I think nothing wrong with it. They can be very effective, very, very good. Women was good. Like to me, you see me work, I do a lot of crazy stuff to get a crowd reaction. Not to brown nose her or anything, but Stephanie King, I was watching her one time at Lamprey High School, one of the cards we had, Medal Bingo Hall. She came up with her camera. She's a valet that has a camera, videotapes for her guy.
Mm-hmm.
All she had to do was put one knee on the apron and stand up, and the whole audience was on their feet wanting to kill her. So I have no problem with it. As long as they go out there and they work hard at what they do, they belong out there. If they're just out there, I want to be part of a show and be in Playboy, and I got no use for people like that because I think it's degrading to the sport of wrestling.
So you're definitely against the bra and panties match.
I mean, it's entertaining, but it gets a crowd likes it, but I think it's titillating, and I think these women can do better for themselves and go to that route.
Well, I know.
Especially the rest of the Jello on TV, it's like.
Yeah, there's a local DJ, I will not say his name or the station, that he asked one of the wrestlers once, you know, are these ladies going to wrestle in bra and panties? You know, I was like, I got really upset with them for that.
Well, that's it. It shows some disrespect. A lot of these women, like in the CCWs and valets we've had, I've seen some come out and they just think it's a TNA, and they really add nothing to the show but take away from it.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen some come out who really can get that crowd into those matches, and that's the key word is, can you get the crowd into the matches? Miss Elizabeth was more of a valet than a wrestler, but she wasn't about TNA, but she could get the fans on her side or sympathetic to anything that would happen to her at ringside. So it really just depends on how they perform out there.
Kind of like a damsel in distress.
Exactly.
Okay. Now, this is a question that's really abroad. That who is really the best manager ever? You know.
See, I grew up, and that's the one controversy. They say, can the best managers be former wrestlers? And I think it really depends. I mean, if you're a former wrestler and you can take bumps a lot, it's more of an advantage when you get beaten up that you don't get hurt as bad. But for his best managers, I grew up watching the Grand Wizard.
Mm-hmm.
Lou Albano, Freddie Blassie, Major Duke George, Reverend Tiny Hampton I saw in town. But I think the best one has to be Bobby Heenan. He is so good at getting the crowd into the matches and carrying a storyline. Bobby Heenan had to be one of the better managers out there. The best talker was the Grand Wizard. He's the one that came up the line, excuse me, Mr. McMahon, you need to see an optometrist because obviously you need glasses. And he was just very, very good at carrying it on. So I'd say my favorite is probably Bobby Heenan.
Bobby Heenan's really?
I would have to disagree with that.
Really?
Yes, I would. I don't think Bobby the Brain, Heenan, Weasel, or whatever he's called, I've always known him by the Weasel, because he is a weasel.
He does his job
My
well.
best manager of all time is Captain Lou Albano.
I agree. Albano is a very good manager. He's another one that's right up there too.
The best.
Well, my opinion on this one topic, well, you gotta look at the broad aspects of it. You know, you gotta look by federation, decade, and period of time. And I think maybe like a Sherry Martel. You know, she was a good manager. You know, plus she also wrestled in the 80s. And Bobby Heenan, actually, I think I have to agree with you, Sanders. Sorry. Bobby Heenan actually really is a good manager. You know, he can make up something on the spot. If you ever saw the AWA movie that just come out, you know, they talk about, I believe on the extras, that Bobby Heenan can make up stuff like that on the spot.
And the thing that's advantage for the manager too, it's like what I try to do when I was able to succeed with my run in 3CW with any manager. It's like I saw a WWE match. A guy came out, Freddie Blassie. No one knew who he was. I didn't recognize the name, but he got booed because of the manager he was with. A good manager like Bobby Heenan, like if you're a wrestler and no one knows who you are and you want to be a heel, the best way to get a heel is get a rub off someone that's hated. And if they put you with a manager like me or a Heenan or a Stephanie King or a Jackie Sazerac or a Pat McGroin, some local names out here, you would get over so much hate because of you came out with these guys, and you can get the rub off of that. Some wrestlers don't understand how managers work. They're like, if we can't get rubbed by ourselves, we don't want it, and they don't go anywhere because they don't know how to take advantage. Wrestling's all about rubbing each other. When I first started in 3CW, first 2 times out, no reaction. Their big face at that time, Kennedy Deluxe, I came in the ring, fired them, called them every name in the book. Fans wanted to kill me from then on. It just that, and managers, good managers are able to get people over that people don't know, but they will hate them because they're associated with this one person over here. And that's the main role of a manager, and I think Bobby Heenan was perfect at that.
Of course, Bobby Heenan managed a whole lot of famous wrestlers, Andre Giant, DiBiase, I believe, for a bit. You know, the list goes on and on, you know.
And a lot of guys he made famous for the fact that he came out with them, and people started paying, and these wrestlers knew how to take advantage of the rub Heenan gave them and became great heels in their own right.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And managers like salt. We can't make crap look good, but we can make something that looks really good even better. And I've been fortunate. Everyone I've worked with has been fantastic. Drive-Thru was fun working with them. The best guys I've ever managed was Tricky Dick Moore. I loved working with him. He put me over, and we both had a good synergy with each other. I love working with AWF, Tony, Adam, Sly, Cliff. We're all fun to work with. So,
of course, actually, the first show I saw involved your former, how to say, protege. I think I don't know if the word would be right. When Tricky Dick was Central Illinois champion, and they had the Naughty or Nice match, which basically it's 4 boxes. 2 guys started out.
Oh, I remember that.
And it was December of 04, my first New Midwest show.
I can never forget that night.
Yeah, and you kind of battled with PhD Philip H. Dempsey. I believe the match ended by you and him.
We had grabbed the belt simultaneously, and we struggled, and we got knocked down. The belt went flying. I think it hit him in the eye and gave him a black eye. And then my man ended up picking up the belt. So, no, actually, it was I don't want anybody. That doesn't matter who won, but I think who won the belt wasn't my guy. That's the night he lost the belt.
No, I believe Tricky retained the belt.
He retained the belt.
He retained the belt and he lost his shard in February, I believe.
Right. Well, I guess we're running on, so.
Yeah, of course, Tricky Dick Moore, good athlete to see at New Midwest Wrestling.
Great guy.
Of course, if you have any questions that you would like us to answer, go to Wrestling RSC at yahoo.com. Of course, you can visit my MySpace page at myspace.com/DirtNationLXIX. So, anything else you want to?
Remember, he's the Yahoo right there. Wrestling, the RS, and that's the Yahoo.
Yahoo?
Yep.
Yahoo's Yahoo.com? You said I was a Yahoo.
Oh, I'm glad I don't have kids.
I think, ladies and gentlemen, what he's trying to say is, if you come out and watch the local wrestling, New Midwest,
Or
ECW,
or
any
ECW, or any of the other
Indicator.
matches, if I'm there, I'm the loudest person in the whole building.
usually I start it.
he's the worst
Dirt
person
starts
there.
it, then we get the chant going, and old Mr. Sanders over here, he just sits there like a bump on a log. Like
I
he
hide
normally
under
does.
I hide under the chair when the wrestlers come swinging because I had nothing to say with it, you know. I was like, hey, wrestler, you're so and so, and they all point at me. It's like I didn't say it, they did. Cowards.
You want to give out your MySpace address?
Yeah, it's I can't remember right off, but I'll definitely let you know back on the second half.
Of course, I will. Of course, I have them on my link. So, you also have yours, Mr. Sanders, your MySpace account.
Yeah, it's www.myspace.com/ I think it's RABPID7.
Okay, that's pretty much it this week on Ringside Chat. Make sure you go to his MySpace account, see what our personalities are like. We all know what Mr. Sanders is like.
And remember, if you were thinking of having kids, these two are the best advertisements for birth control we know.
Okay,
Watch it.
New to yourselves. Don't have kids like them, please.
Watch it.
Please.
We'll be in that ring coming up the next show, so you better watch it.
Man, it's bad enough you voted to multiply too many times already, man. This will
okay,
trouble.
for Mr. PM Sanders,
Donovan Taylor.
Big Daddy Cool, Stonewall, I'm the HDK. Signing off for this week. Bam Bam, you're in our hearts.
Yes.